In 2007, 32 students and faculty were killed on the campus of Virginia Tech. A college student went on a killing spree and then took his own life. How on earth do you prepare for something like that? And how does law enforcement train to be able to handle those type of scenarios? A training drill was held on the campus of West Kentucky Community and Technical College, and we're going to watch that drill. I'm Public Information Officer Pam Spencer. Your City at Work is next. On this episode of Your City at Work, you're going to see training video that might be a little bit disturbing. You're going to hear gunfire, but live ammunition was not used. This is only a drill. You're going to hear people crying for help, but no one was injured. I want to start this episode by reading a definition from the Department of Homeland Security regarding an active shooter. An active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. In most cases, active shooters use firearms, and there is no pattern or method to their selection of victims. So what do? And how should law enforcement and emergency personnel train for an active shooter? A training scenario featuring more than one active shooter was held on the campus of West Kentucky Community and Technical College. It was only a drill, but a very important drill. Joining me now is the Director of Security for WKCTC, Steve Orzine. Thanks for joining me out here.
Nice to be here.
Well, tell me about the requirements for training drills. Before we talk about this scenario, tell me about the requirements. What do you guys have to go through?
The state requires that we have at least one drill every year, in addition to fire drills every semester. And we're able to determine what kind of drill we want.
Okay.
We've had, the last 2 years, we've had tabletops on tornado disaster drills. And this year, Dr. Veazey, president of the college, decided she wanted to have our second full-scale shooter on campus drill.
Tell me about the first drill that you had. I guess that was a few years ago, and it was an active shooter?
Yes, 2010.
Okay. What was that scenario, and then compare it to this scenario?
A whole lot of it was the same. We had two shooters on the other end of campus that walked around the quad, shooting students out on the quad that was outside class, and actually we simulated one police officer getting shot as he arrived, was the first officer on the scene.
And that was the 2010 scenario?
Yes, and the basis for that was we wanted to show that as far as the victims go, the police will pass the victims. They're going to go to the shooter and eliminate the threat, and then they'll come back to the victims. And we had the officer, call it to his buddies, help me guys, I'm one of you. And he got passed up just like the other victims did.
Tell me about this scenario. This was even bigger for the one that you decided to do this year.
Yes, this one had 4 shooters.
Wow.
We had one shooter in the woods out here acting as a sniper, and he initiated the drill by shooting 3 people over here in the smoking area.
And we're at the Allied Health Building, so that was kind of the focus
yes.
of this drill.
Yes. And then 2 of the people he shot were actually killed, and then in the drill.
Yes.
And then one was wounded in the shoulder, and the 4th one that was sitting out here was not injured. And those 2 ran in the building, and the one that was not injured initiated the first 911 call to alert the police that we had a shooter out here in the woods behind the building.
And then there were shooters, I guess, in the building?
At the time, they were not in the building, but once the sniper started shooting, they entered the building and started going down through the halls as the classes were locking down, and they were firing blanks, and we had, with the blanks, and you could hear them, you could smell the gunfire, the gunpowder, and it was as realistic as we could make it.
So how did it, I guess, come to a closure through that scenario?
When the police arrived, because they're going to confront the shooters, And by the time they had arrived, the shooters, instead of walking around, they had found hiding places and were waiting for the police. The police confronted the first one in a hospital bed. We have a room in there that's just like a hospital ward. It has several beds with mannequins in them. And that shooter was Police Officer Robbie Estes, who's bald-headed, and he fit right in with the mannequins. And when the police went in, they got a surprise. And the other two took refuge in a dark room that does not, the entrance to the dark room does not look like a door. And the officers and the SWAT team had to go in and find them.
How did the scenario end? I mean, do you have a tally of how many people ended up getting hurt in this scenario?
We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 total. We had 2 dead and 6 wounded, not counting the shooters.
And what happened with the shooters?
They all got shot.
They all got shot?
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about the system of what you did on campus. If this were a real scenario, what would you have done to notify the students? And you actually went through that whole process of locking down the campus.
Yes.
And kind of go through what all you guys have to do to keep everyone safe.
The one part that we did that we would not do as quickly as we did in a real scenario is we blocked all the entrances to the campus.
Okay.
In a real scenario, we wouldn't have time to do that, but we didn't want people driving through while the scenario was going on. But we have a lockdown policy that when you receive a SNAP message, which is our mass communication system, it will tell you, the message will tell you what to do. It does not have to be a shooter on campus. It could be a tornado or it could be a fire or whatever, but the message will give you an indication of what precautions to take. And when the young lady called 911, then I initiated a SNAP message. We have a team on campus that our phones are set up that when you dial the campus emergency number, our phones are the only ones that ring, and whoever answers that phone has the ball with SNAP, and we're the only ones that can send the message out. And I sent the first message out that we had a shooter on campus, and I intended to watch my watch, and on the first message I didn't, but from the time I hit enter on the computer after the message was set up, my phone was ringing within 30 seconds. And then when I sent out the all clear message after the thing was over with, I was watching my watch and my phone rang in 12 seconds. So the mass communication system is, it's real quick for a lot of phone calls.
Do the students sign up to be a part of that, or how do they get text messages, or how does it work?
It works on here on campus. It works on our computers and our phones.
Okay.
The cell phones. If the students, when they register, list their cell phone, they're automatically entered. You can opt out of SNAP,
okay,
but you're automatically put in it when you register.
Okay.
And in that 12 seconds. 100% of the text messages went out.
Oh, great.
Were received. 100% of the voicemails went out, and we had a glitch in our campus telephones and computers, and only 89% of those messages were received. And we found out later that was because AT&T and our system had a issue the night before that we didn't know about. And when they got back up, they had lost some data.
Okay.
And they did some testing on that yesterday to correct that issue.
Well, what else did you learn from this scenario? I mean, it was several hours and it was a lot of planning. I mean, what did you learn?
Well, no, the actual incident only lasted 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I was looking for was what we do, and we had a representative in each building that once the SNAP message went out, they walked around each building, making sure everybody was locked down. My job was to make sure we do what we want, and then the police were going to do their thing. We got no control over that, but and as the representatives reported back that every building was locked down, just like we were supposed to.
And what agencies helped in
we had
this scenario?
The Paducah Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, the Paducah Fire Department, Mercy Regional, the Office of Emergency Management with Paul Carter, and DES. We're all here.
Oh wow, so it was a multi-agency response.
Yes.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for everything you do to keep this campus safe.
Thank you.
Well, stay with us, because up next we're going to talk to the Paducah Police Department and how they were coordinating and working with this effort. I'm joined now by two members of the Paducah Police Department to talk about how the training scenario was coordinated, how it went. I'm joined by Captain Mark Roberts as well as Officer Lofton Rowley. Thank you guys for joining me today. First, tell me how the scenario, you guys weren't part of the designers of the scenario. You really didn't know what was going to happen until you got the call. You knew that there was going to be a drill.
That's correct. The SWAT team and the first responding officers just knew something was going to happen here, and they were to respond as they would in a real situation.
And tell us how the response went. I mean, how has things changed? And there's been so many different incidents where we've had school shootings and things like that. How is the training different for you guys?
So much more emphasis now is on the initial responding officers. They are to immediately organize and move towards the threat, in this case towards the active shooters, and that's exactly what the first responding officers did. Once they get inside and eliminate the threat, or attempt to eliminate the threat, then they would call in additional resources such as SWAT in this case.
So how did it work? Was 911 feeding you information, or how realistic was it for you?
Yes, just like in a real situation, students here would call in to 911 and they would give the information to the officers.
Tell me about technology and how it's changed. I know you guys have had some new equipment, you've had some new training. Talk a little bit about that for me.
Well, on the SWAT team, we have a higher threat level body armor we wear than the regular patrolmen, so that's one technology we utilize. We also have special weapons, special vehicles. We integrate a robot from the bomb squad will come and assist us. If we know we have something that's going to be a big threat, we automatically have those guys come with us.
Did the bomb squad come on this one?
Yes, we had one member of the bomb squad with us, and he had one of our smaller lightweight robots that he actually carried on his back, ready to deploy anytime we needed it.
Well, tell me, how fast can the SWAT team respond?
It's typically 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the time of day, what's going on, but usually 30 minutes to an hour.
Well, some larger departments have full-time SWAT teams.
Right.
Obviously, we can't have that here. So officers that are on duty would respond. Those that are off duty would have to respond in and organize. So that's the delay there, which is again why the first responding officers have such responsibility now to assess what's going on, take immediate action, and if they can, then contain and then bring in crisis negotiators, the SWAT team, whatever other resources we can to hopefully peacefully stop the threat.
So those first responding officers, have they now received kind of different training? Because, I mean, they are dealing with the active scenario more closely. I mean, do they get different training now?
Yes. This past summer, the officers all went through active shooter training. The department brought in instructors that taught our firearms instructors as active shooter instructors now. So they gave that, and they used Paducah Tillman over the summer. Very intensive training course, and so they understand now their responsibilities, formations, tactics, communication. It was a very, very effective program, and it was demonstrated during this exercise.
Now, what can the public do if somebody witnessed something like this? I mean, what's the best thing that they can do as they're calling 911? Because they're going to get a lot of calls and there's going to be a lot of panic in their voice, but what does 911 need to be able to make sure that you guys can respond properly?
Well, first, they should try to hide, get out of sight. Okay. If they can, lock themselves behind a door, hide under a piece of furniture. The information that the responding officers would need, though, would be the number of people that are involved, descriptions, types of weapons, how many people are injured, and location. Now, obviously, you may not know all of that information, but if you can give us anything, we could put that together with information from other people. and get the best information we can to those first officers there, because they're walking into it blind. All they know is there's a lot of people screaming, and when they got on this situation, there were injured people here, there was blood, chaotic. So as much information as they could provide to the 911 dispatcher, she would then feed it to our officers.
Now, this training scenario was held on a college campus, of course. How is it similar or different to other places that other people may be, such as a shopping mall?
I think as far as our response is going to be pretty much the same. Okay. We want to get there and quickly eliminate the threat as soon as possible, and then we'll worry about getting the injured out of there, and then doing secondary searches and checking for any additional threats. But the main thing is to stop that threat for us.
We understand that malls, theaters, businesses could all be potential targets for a terrorist attack or for a disgruntled employee, someone that's mentally unstable. So it could be applicable to all of those locations, yes.
What did you learn from the training scenario? This was a huge one. This was a big one.
Yeah, this was a big one. Communication, we sometimes come up with communications issues and we work on those. That was one of the issues we had on this one. We did learn that we were very happy with the integration of our first responding officers and how they communicated and worked with the SWAT team once they got inside. Everyone did fantastic on that. The technology that the Paducah Police Department has with the bomb squad robots, we actually have 3 robots, only 1 was deployed on this particular exercise. The recent acquisition of an armored truck that we got at no cost from the U.S. Army was fabulous in this, because we actually had a sniper situation in the wood line across the roadway there. The officers were able to be inside the MRAP, which is a mine-resistant ambush protection. That's, of course, a military acronym there, but an armored truck. They were able to get close to where the sniper was, deploy the robot from that while being protected by the armor, and it just was fabulous. So we were very happy to have that, and the timing was just wonderful. We just recently got that, and of course the SWAT team had no idea there would be a use for it during this, but it worked out very well.
Now, how often do you do training scenarios, such as the SWAT team? How often do you guys get together?
We train twice a month, but as far as large scenarios, we usually do about 2 a year, probably, in different locations. We've done one at the mall. Okay. With an active shooter at the mall, which we've done at the college now a couple times. Transmontane, the big fuel center, we do one there about every year. The Carson Center, we've done scenarios there. So a bank in Marshall County, we did one there with the Marshall County SWAT team. So at least 2 a year normally is what we try to do.
Well, is there anything else that you would like the public to know if they were ever faced in this type of scenario?
Communication is key. Feed us communications as much as you can, calmly, descriptions, and protect yourself. Don't put yourself in danger to get that information. If you need to hide, be prepared to understand that the responding officers are going to move past you to get to the threat, but they're going to say, where did the shooter go? And if you can help them at that time, even if it's not on the phone, right then as officers come in, just be aware that their primary mission is to stop the threat so that they can stop more people from being hurt, make it safe, so then EMS can come in and help with the casualties.
Okay, well, good information to know, and thank you both for everything that you do to keep us all safe. Thank you. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back. The Department of Homeland Security has prepared a document that has information about what the public can do if ever faced with a situation involving an active shooter. Here are the main points. First, be aware of your environment and any possible dangers. Take note of the 2 nearest exits in any facility that you visit. If something happens and you are in an office, classroom, or other small room, stay there, hide, and secure the door. If you're in a hallway, get to a room and secure the door. If you are at close range to the active shooter, you cannot flee, and your life is in imminent danger, your chance of survival is much greater if you try to take the shooter down. It's the last resort. Do what you can to incapacitate the shooter. What if you witness the event and you're able to call 911? Here are the things that the operator at the 911 office needs to know. Tell the operator the location or locations of the active shooters, even if there's more than one. And tell them the number of shooters if there is more than one, the physical description of the shooter or shooters, the number and type of weapons held by the shooters, and the number of potential victims at the location. If you don't know all of those things, that's fine. Just pass along what you do know. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This episode was not meant to scare you. It was a training drill and no one was injured. The goal of the episode was to show you that emergency personnel and West Kentucky Community and Technical College are working together for the safety of the students and the faculty. And hopefully you learned something today that may save your life if you're ever faced in an unthinkable situation. Thank you so much for watching Your City at Work.